He keeps telling me, say Shirley, say Shirley.
That's his girlfriend of 24 years.
Know that he's sending love onto her. That's crazy, isn't it? He says to me that, you're still upset when he passed because you feel like maybe this relationship came in between you and him. Please let her know that this was my fault, not Shirley's. Hi, Teresa. How are you?
Hi, Matt. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Well, first of all, where are you from?
It's Bagel, Maine.
Oh, great. Well, first of all, I'm glad that you're here. And right away, is this your husband with you as well?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. Nice to meet you as well, sir.
It's Mike. Sorry, Mike.
Hi there.
That's all right. She didn't introduce you, Mike. This is what happens when you don't introduce your loved ones. I didn't know, Mike, if you were living or dead. So you can't do that to a medium. But luckily, I do know that, first of all, your father passed. Because right away, I kept hearing I'm the father. So your dad departed?
Yes, my dad passed a couple years ago.
He's here. Because right away when I was connecting, I kept hearing, Matt, I'm her dad, I'm her dad. And this is your father's way of acknowledging that he's here and that he's stepping forward on the other side. Because he says to me, Matt, I didn't always express myself here in this world. He says, I didn't always talk about things. I didn't always speak. He says, and my daughter was not expecting for me to come through and to speak to her like this. He says, because I was never good at communicating here in this world. Do you understand that?
I do.
But even though that your dad wasn't a good communicator, it does not mean that he did not love you or care about you. And you need to know that, because your father tells me when I'm connecting with him that you felt towards the end of his life that the two of you kind of drifted apart. Do you understand that?
I do. Yeah.
Because your dad shows me memories of back when you were younger and memories of when you were a girl and you and your dad being close and really connected with one another. And then he showed me the end of his life and you feel like there wasn't much communication between you and your dad. And here's the why he made me come over to you, Teresa. Your dad tells me that you regret that. And he tells me that you feel, oh my God, I should have been closer to him. I should have tried to form more of a bond with him at the end. And more importantly, I didn't know he was so sick because your dad's telling me there were things that were kept from you or things that you didn't know before he had died. Do you understand that?
I do. Yeah.
So know that one of the things that your dad is saying to me is, listen, he says, you need to let my daughter know that I loved her and cared about her so much. He says, but there's one thing that your dad, was so strong about here in this world. And that was he did not want you to take care of him and to be pulled away from your own life with your husband and what you were doing here in this world. Do you understand that?
I do. I do.
And you need to understand that. Your dad is telling me from, but even before he had passed away, he was sick for quite some time, he's telling me. And he tells me, Matt, he goes, I didn't want anyone to know how sick I really was. He talks about him masking it and hiding it. Do you understand that?
I do. I do.
And then at the end, did he have lung cancer? Or did it go into his lungs?
He had esophageal cancer, and then it metastasized throughout the rest of his body.
Well, esophageal cancer would be right here, because notice where I'm pointing. This is where I'm feeling it. And your father tells me at the end, Matt, he goes, I couldn't speak. He tells me it affected, like I feel when I'm connecting with your dad, like I have strep throat. It's the worst feeling in the world. It's dry. I can't talk. And your dad keeps telling me, like, everybody would come over and try to give him water. But at the end, he never even got to say goodbye to you because of this. So know that that's your dad's way of acknowledging from the other side that he does love you, he does care about you, and that more importantly, he is there and with you. And I got to tell you something. Your father loved the outdoors here in this world when I'm connecting with him. Because he's saying to me, he's talking about, this is so weird. When I'm connecting with him, he's talking about feeding the deer. How do you connect with feeding the deer?
He was an avid hunter. He did have deer that came into his backyard.
He's telling me it was like this time of the year that he would always sit out and that he would always like watch the deer come back and forth, and he would put things out for the deers. He loves that. And he says to me, Matt, he goes, I was not a fancy person. He goes, I didn't like going out to eat, going out to restaurants, so on and so forth. But what he did love was being outdoors, being in nature, watching nature in his pickup truck, because he's talking about his pickup truck here in this world when I'm connecting with him. So know that he says to me that when you look out and onto nature and you reminisce about times when you were a little girl spending time with your dad, he says, know that I am there, because he's acknowledging that. Now I also want to say the name. There's a name here. I'm hearing Shirley.
That's his girlfriend of 24 years.
Oh my God, because he keeps telling me in my ear, he keeps telling me, say Shirley, say Shirley.
Yeah, that's his girlfriend of 24 years.
Know that he's sending love onto her. That's crazy, isn't it?
That is awesome.
Know that one of the things is that he says to me that, you're still upset when he passed because you feel like maybe this relationship came in between you and him.
It did.
Your father says to me, Matt, I can't let her go without talking about this. Please let her know that this was my fault, not Shirley's. He says, and more importantly, your dad says to me, I never knew how much this affected you until now. Because I'm going to be honest. Can I be honest with you?
Yep.
Your father tells me that after he met his girlfriend, it's like you missed out on having a dad. And that's what caused the separation. Because all of a sudden he shows me you being with him, and the next thing you know, you were celebrating holidays alone, and you were missing him during certain life events. And even now it's painful during this time because you think about the holidays and you think about your dad not being there. Do you understand that?
I do. Yeah.
He says to me, please let her know one thing. You think in your mind that he chose Shirley over you. He says, and that's just not the case. That's not how I saw it when I was here in this world. He says, I just figured that you had your own husband. You had your own family. He says, I didn't know how much you were missing me and how much you were grieving me. So for your dad to come through and tell me that name, that means that you've been holding on to that hurt for all this time.
I have.
But he says to me, even though she was his girlfriend, he tells me, you were the only woman in my life. He says, you were my pride and joy. Never forget that. So please know that when you think of me in heaven, that I have not missed out on a single thing. He says, I'm sorry for hurting you. Don't think about those last moments. He says, of when I entered this new relationship, think of the moments of back when we were younger and know that I am truly sorry because I didn't know that here in this world. Do you understand that?
I do. And it makes me, I do feel a lot better.
Well, listen, these messages are meant to make tomorrow so much easier because I know it's hard to process right now. You were not expecting this.
No,
But
I wasn't.
know it's your father's way of acknowledging that he does not want you to think of the holidays and him being missing from your life. He wants you to think of the holidays and know for certain that he's right there.
Thank you, Matt.
Oh, I really hope that this helped you.